Alright, hey everybody, this is Jens from WunderGraph, and I want to talk about namespacing APIs. So, some of you might be still waiting for our open source release, but we're holding a bit back because there's a few changes we want to make before open sourcing, but the plan is to get this out in December this year. So you will have a very nice Christmas gift, I hope so. Okay, so you know that what we're building essentially is a package manager for APIs. So we want to make it possible to handle APIs or to combine different APIs as simple as just installing a package like npm install. So one of the issues we found in the way of achieving that is you often face a situation where different services define the same type, but they mean something different. For example, you can have an API in planetscale and another API from SpaceX land, and then you have your Postgres running locally, and you might have a JSON Placeholder API, and each of them accidentally each of them exposes a type user, and they mean something different because the user could be some user in planetscale or a SpaceX user. Those are not the same thing. So you need to distinguish between the two. So if you talk about creating an API package manager or package manager for APIs, if you compare that to package managers for code, the first thing that you learn when writing code is that you have to namespace your code. So for example, you can have packages or modules or classes or something to distinguish between different concepts and to allow you to have two classes with the name user, but in a different namespace. And that way you can distinguish the two. So GraphQL, as of today, doesn't have the concept of namespaces. And this is why we, as WunderGraph, introduce something on top of GraphQL. So we don't extend or change GraphQL. We simply put some tooling on top. So here's my example. So you can see I have 4 APIs. I have a planetscale API. So we introspect planetscale, turn it into a GraphQL API. Then we have SpaceX. We have a Postgres database on localhost. And we have a JSON Placeholder REST API. And so what we want to do is we want to combine all of them together. We namespace them automatically. And then we want to fire off a query to get data from all of them on the user. So here's our environment. We run WunderCTL up, debug. So that starts the process and introspects all the services. It generates a schema from all of them, combines them, and namespaces them automatically. So you can see the planetscale API is namespaced with planetscale, SpaceX, Postgres, and JSP for JSON placeholder. So if we look at the generated schema and we search for type query, you can actually see that first of all we have all the Postgres fields, then we have the SpaceX fields, our JSON placeholder fields, and then the planetscale fields. And all of them are namespaced. So there is no collision on the query type. So that's the first thing you need to achieve. And then if you look closer, you can also see the basic scalars that are common across all of the schemas. They don't need namespacing. But all the types that are defined, or inputs, or enums, or unions that are defined in each of the subschemas, they automatically get suffixed with the namespace, and the fields get prefixed with the namespace. So that's a very simple way of prefixing. It's important, or it makes sense because you write the query, you want to start with the prefix to select the namespace. And for the types, it can be suffixed because most of the time you actually don't write the types itself. And then if you look at type mutation. You can see here's also the Postgres types, and then SpaceX, not so many. And then planetscale and the JSON placeholder has no mutations. So you can see, here's our config. So we introspect the 4 different APIs, a MySQL or VTAS on planetscale. Then we have the GraphQL API that's on SpaceX land, Postgres running locally, and the JSON placeholder that is a REST API. We can also look at the definition. So you can see here we get the posts, and then for each post we can get comments, and we also have users, and for users we can get posts, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that is our schema. Awesome. So this is now combined. We can then create an operation. So here I've prepared something. So you can see I can type all of this with auto-completion. So I can say, for example, SpaceX, and then you see all the SpaceX fields. So in this case, what do we want? It was the users. Then we have the Postgres find many users. We have the JSON placeholder users and the planetscale users. So if I save this and open my Postman, you can see I can send this query, send it twice, and you see here we have the data. We have SpaceX users, Postgres users, JSON placeholder users, and here we have the planetscale users. So one query, data from 4 services. And to put one more thing on top, let's have a closer look at the JSP users. So you can see a JSON placeholder. It has ID and name. So if we go to this schema, you can see it returns user dot or user JSP. So that's the suffix. And you can see on the user, there's no post. So there's no link to the post. So the only way we could actually get the posts would be if we say JSP, and then we can say user post, JSP, user posts or post comments. So that is because we automatically generate the GraphQL schema from the REST API. But it doesn't really feel GraphQL-ish, because what we really want to have is a link between the JSP user and the comments. And we can now add this. So we have a component for that. It's called the link builder. So let's go ahead and add some links. So we say link builder. And then you start with the source. So what is our source? So if we go to the thingy here, you can see we want to take JSP user posts that take a user ID, and we want to add them to user JSP. So we have JSP user posts, and we wanted to add it here. So let's do that. So here we have auto-completion, because that's generated with TypeScript generics. So you can just choose here. So we want to take the user posts, and then what's our target? Again, we have auto-completion. So target is user JSP. Let's make that a bit smaller. Okay, target. We need to give it a name. So let's say that is posts. And then we need to supply the arguments. So we need to supply the user ID, also auto-completed. So where do we get it from? It's an object field, so it's a field from the user type, and auto-completion again, we can choose the type. So from the user, we want to use ID. And then we say build. We save. And now the nasty error should be gone. Let's go to our schema, user JSP. And you see, we now have the posts here. So that should mean if I go here and say posts, and then ID title, Save that. Let's run the query again. And now you see, let's clip that away. So now we have the JSP users with posts. And we can even go one step further, because now you see here we have the posts. And now on the post, we want to add the comments. So let's create a second link. Go back to the config. Link builder. Source. JSP post comments. Target. Now we want to target the post. And we call it comments. We add the argument post ID. It's an object field again. And we select from the post the ID and build. Save that. Okay. Everything updated, I guess. Yep. So, we need to update the query again. So now we have the posts. We can now select comments, ID, and body. So now let's look at the schema. So you see post JSP, and then we have the comment, and here's the comment. Awesome. All right, let's run it again. And let's see, SpaceX users, Postgres users, JSP users with posts, and each post now has the comments. Awesome. So yeah, that's everything I want to show. So this is how we introduce namespaces to WunderGraph, which in a nutshell means you can now combine and merge any API automatically without conflicts. And with the link builder, you can introduce links between the different types so that you can query everything in one go and join data between databases or data from a database and an API or whatever you want. And as you can see in our example query here, we get the data from all the different services in just one go. And that's very, very convenient. Yeah, if you want to try it out yourself, it's available, going to be open source very soon, but it's already available. Go to wundergraph.com, follow the instructions to get started. And yeah, if you have any questions or need some help or whatnot, you can also join us on Discord. So wundergraph.com/Discord, or follow one of the links on our website. We're always happy to chat and to see how you can use WunderGraph and so on. All right, thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.